Hey, Facebook land. It's your girl Meg here, and I'm coming back after a little bit of a hiatus here. And I wanted to drop in here and share with you my lessons on being sick and learning to be gentle with yourself. And so, real talk, I got really sick out of nowhere, um, and had a lot of stuff that came up for me over the last week, both personal and professional, that I had to traverse, and a lot of transition and change. And it kind of took me out of the live streaming game. And I didn't stop working, but I did have to slow down. And I needed to take time to go deeper and really reflect. And it's like that's where we're at this time of year, right? We're reflecting on all of the things that the year has brought us, all of the work that we've done, all of the big decisions, all of the risks we've taken, and likely all of the mistakes that we've made, right? All of the decisions that we've made that have gotten us right to where we are right now. I was on an interview for a podcast this morning, and the interviewer for that podcast had asked me, if there was anything I would change along my journey, if I had a magic wand and go back and change something, what would I change? And, my response to this question is always the same. And it's that I would change nothing. Even the really shitty mistakes that I've made, they are like the post that I shared yesterday, thorns of experience. They, prick you and they teach you something. And that's how I learn. I learn by doing. I learn by putting my feet to the fire. I always have. And I find that a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of people that are forging their own path in the world are learning the same way. I'm not saying throw caution to the wind, but I'm saying that in a human experience, you're certainly not going to be able to be perfect. And hey, Chris, how are you? You're not going to be able to be perfect, and you're not going to be able to get it all done all of the time, right? So this week I came down with what I'm calling the ghost flu, because it was like the flu. And my friend Chris here, he was working with me at Axis and helping me through my flu epidemic last year. I am well on my way to being better, so that's awesome. But I was just saying, I came down with this ghost flu, and it was like I had the flu, but without any of the respiratory symptoms. So I had the fatigue, I had the exhaustion, I had the fever, I had the body aches. It was terrible. It was terrible. And I was starting to think that maybe mentally there was something wrong with me, right? That I was manifesting these symptoms in my body, or that even worse, maybe something was up with my thyroid, because I do manage an autoimmune thyroid condition. And so, I went to the urgent care on Wednesday, and the doctor told me that there were a bunch of people that had come in with this, very similar virus, and they threw me on some prednisone, which doesn't prednisone really throw you for a loop. And I'm on the mend. It took me a couple days of really sweating it out, literally, and of slowing down. And yesterday I thought I was better, and I didn't slow down, and I pushed it too hard, and then I paid for it later in the day. And so today I've been going a little bit slower, really listening to my body, making lists, staying focused on what's right in front of me, and that's something that I really want to take with me into 2019 is this idea that I always preach to people, which is, what can I do to keep my eyes on my own paper, right? Keeping my eyes on my own paper helps me become more gentle with myself. And in becoming more gentle with myself, I can be more allowing. And in being more allowing, I can lean in more, right? The fear of anything new, of anything, undiscovered or untraversed is going to be there. And the fear is often an indicator, right? It usually means that what you're doing is important to you, that it means something. And, what I did last night was an exercise recommended to me by my friend Corey. And I just wrote down all of my fears on a piece of paper. And I went outside today and I buried them in the ground. And I'm just going to let the earth dissolve them. And in place of them, plant new seeds of awareness and really invite into my next year the things that I really deeply desire, all of the things that I know that I'm worthy of and that I want to do in this world, right? Because I am here to help other people create massive change in their lives, to do things that they never thought were possible simply by carving out their space in the world, shining brighter and developing a plan and putting it into action, right? It seems simple, but it's really big work because it's multifaceted work. It's not just, choose it, believe it, do it, be it. There's more to it than that. And there's inner work that needs to be done, and there's external work that needs to be done. There's time that needs to be allocated, sacrifices that need to be made, decisions that need to be negotiated. And, it doesn't matter if you're a business owner or somebody traversing a 9 to 5. The reality of the situation is that we all undergo these big transitions, right? These personal transformations. And there's this sticky spot where we find ourselves inside of when we're not feeling well, whether that's not feeling well inside of our bodies or like not feeling well. This little light is so funny. Whether that's not feeling well inside of our bodies. Hey, Claire. Or not feeling well inside of our minds, whatever the case may be. And, it's really up to us to do the work to remedy that. And I think one of the things that I really learned this year is that, anyone who's coddling you or telling you that everything's going to be all right, or just like making it seem like it's okay to be in your shit for a really long time isn't doing you any service whatsoever. If you're surrounded by people that are, commiserating with you and, want to feed into your misery, take a good look at those people and what they actually bring to your life and to your awareness. Because if you're the type of person that wants to move into something new, wants to invite new experiences into your life, wants to keep growing and going, then you're going to have to make evaluations about who you spend your time with, how you spend your conversations, or how do I want to say this, who you find yourself in conversation with and what you're conversating about. And listen, we're ramping into these holidays here, and holidays are a tricky time for a lot of people. And I know that they're a tricky time for me, right? And Claire says it, you need someone to call you on your bullshit. That's what I do for a living, right? I call people on their bullshit. And this is a tricky time right now, this season, because there's difficult emotions come up. Like I said in the beginning, you're super reflective. You're looking at all of the things you didn't do, could have done better, should have done differently, blah, 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 blah. And we can get so stuck in reflection that we can neglect to be actually pushing our vision forward. And that's really where I shifted to, right? So after I reflected on all of this fear that I carried with me throughout 2018, I decided to shift into what was the big vision for myself, for my business, for the people that I love that are around me. How do we all play into this? What is my role in all of this and what am I committing to? Because I have made, if I look at my year and I break it down into quarters, and real talk, this is what I'm doing while laying down sick on the couch this weekend, or, while driving this weekend. If I break my year down into quarters, right, there was January, February, and March where I basically just worked my ass off. I was just
in it, on the computer all day long, just hustling. That's what I was doing. And then January, February, March, April, May, and June, there was a shift for me. The tide started to turn. And really what I felt was like, I need to go. I need to get out because I knew I had made this big commitment. I'd made this big statement. Hey, Hillary. I had made this big statement to sell all my things and move across the country. And I had done that in 2017. And it was just like me one day sitting at my 9 to 5, working as a digital inbound marketer at a very pretentious, did I say pretentious? I meant to say prestigious, a very prestigious university, just loathing everything, just being like, this fucking sucks. If I have to write one more email about a program, I'm going to gouge my eyes out. And I put this Instagram post up and it said, that's it. I'm starting a podcast and I'm going across the United States. And I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a budget. I didn't have a map. I literally put people's addresses into this map and it made this like little curvy thing across the United States. And that's how I decided that I was going to go. But, when it came to 2018, I didn't do any really extensive planning because I was just working, right? I was just like punching the clock, taking the numbers, like hitting the scorecard, making sure my bills were paid, like doing what I had always done, but feeling I wanted more. And so, April, May, and June, everything changed. It's like a switch just went off. And I decided that I would go. And in 20 days, I canceled my lease, emptied my apartment, sold all my stuff, like ramped up work on my podcast. Like it was wild. And I ended up like in St. Louis, where I spent most of the summer, still working, not really even getting to like enjoy the travel because I was working so much. And, this is where a lack of planning and a lack of foresight will really hinder your enjoyment when it comes to being in the moments that you thought would, bring you excessive joy. And don't get me wrong, I had tons of fun in all these places. But I don't even know if I was prepared or knew what a journey of personal transformation it would be. Just leaving Philadelphia for the first time in 33 years for more, literally not having a home, not having keys to my own apartment. The last time I had done that, I went 3 months abroad in London with Temple, but that's a very defined thing. Like, you're going and you're coming back. So, when I look at April, May, and June, July, August, same thing. I started to feel the misalignment. I started to know that I needed to make big changes. And I felt things coming down the pike for me that I have wanted for a really long time. And a lot of that had to do with commitments to my own personal well-being, whether that be from, a mental state or a physical state. And, this whole year, 2018, has been marked by me trying to get it right with my body. And I mean, that's been the last couple years for me, but like really trying to get it fucking right with my body and not like running to a doctor to get it right. Not, and maybe I should have gone to more doctors to check it out. But it was more of like coming to terms with the fact that I had made some decisions over the course of so many years that weren't benefiting me. They weren't contributing to the goals that I had in mind. So like, I'm all about like core desired feelings, like choose your feelings, set your goals up around them. And, my feelings were freedom, grace, ease, creativity, gratitude, golden. I wanted to feel fucking golden this year. And I didn't all the time. A lot of times I found myself like kind of just like, oh, I'm exhausted. I'm spent. I'm like making more money than I've ever made, but like I feel out of alignment. I feel like, I'm with some people that really care about me, but other times I'm like just in a crowd of people that I could just blend right in. And so I had to make some really deep decisions about what I was going to do. And August saw me, it kind of just giving up on alcohol. And I hadn't done it in a really long time. And, um, when I was sick this week, I thought about it because I didn't get as sick as I did last year when I had the flu. Um, and I was like, well, I'm not drinking. And listen, I wasn't like an all day dependent drinker, but I don't think you need to be an all day dependent drinker to have a dependency on something, to use it as, a coping mechanism. And I looked at myself at 33 years old, the end of my Jesus year. It's me and my friend Sharon call it. And I couldn't remember the last time that I had a sober birthday. I could tell you all of the birthdays where I got absolutely sloshed, where I was so sauced I got hurt or made a fool of myself or did something else. Memories that didn't anymore really align with where I'm going or who I want to be. And it made me a little sad. And so I think it was like 10 or 14 days before my 34th birthday, I just told my friends, like, I'm not going to drink anymore. And I threw in the towel on drinking, and I spent my birthday sober, and it was difficult and it felt different, without any judgment. And, I moved into September and I just kept going with it. And Sharon and I started to travel, and, Sharon and I, have a huge history of drinking together, and I had to navigate that. And I had to navigate social situations where I wasn't drinking, but I was still smoking cigarettes, of all things, marijuana, and dependency on these things. So the addictive personality was still showing itself. Flash forward the last quarter of the month, September or October, November, December. By October, I had cut everything out. So I had given up drinking, smoking of any type of substance, and it was wild. Like the change that I saw in myself was incredible. The drinking made me have to deal with some difficult emotions and brought up to light how absolutely unwell my body was and how stress was manifesting in my body. And I needed to make some big decisions to step away from some of my professional commitments. And I did that. And I decided to take a whole month off, which is something that I've never done. And I took a whole month off from work and my business, any contracted work that I had. And I went on a digital detox. I took all the apps off my phone. I didn't check my email. I didn't even open my computer. Honestly, like I couldn't even recall to you the last time that I hadn't opened my computer for so long. I'm not going to say that it was easy to get back into it or that it was the smartest decision at the time, but it's exactly what I needed to do. And, there's another lesson in being sick, if you will, is that sometimes you just need to listen to your intuition. And my intuition was telling me to slow the fuck down, to just be where I was, and I never felt like I was running away from something in Philadelphia. I always felt like I was running towards something. And even where I've found myself down here outside of New Orleans in the woods, it's like, this is my home. This is where I belong. I feel at peace here. I feel serenity. I get to connect with nature, and I get to do this work every single day. And I use that word very specifically. Like, I get to fucking do this. I choose it very consciously, and it's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. I have to show up and treat it like a 9 to 5. That's the thing, right? Is like freedom in your schedule comes at a cost. And the cost is often that in the beginning, you have to go out and cut your teeth harder than you ever thought you would have to. There is no fucking shortcuts to this shit. And real talk, anybody out there that's telling you that there's shortcuts to your success, I call bullshit on that, because there are no shortcuts to your success. Like, real talk, this is where, hey Jenna, this is where the real work lies, right? When you see something in your vision and you fucking chase after it like there is no tomorrow, and you want it and you're hungry for it because it is your passion. And I promise you, if you show up and do something that you are passionate about every single day, the other things that you want will follow right behind it. I know, because I'm watching it happen in my life right now, but it comes at a cost. And the cost is usually personal sacrifices, right? You have to give up some of the things that you used to love to do. Like for me, I used to love and go and socialize. I used to love to be out and about and like running from here to there. And like, I'm a city girl, right? And I loved doing all of these things. And that's just not the pace of my life anymore. And nor would kind of the changes that I've made as far as my, social habits around drinking and even food specifically, because I can't eat a lot of things and I choose not to. Do they make me want to be in any of those places anyway? I've changed so much this year. And I don't even think I realized it until this weekend, until like the last 6 days. And when you realize, when you come up against this vision of yourself, of where you used to be and where you are right now, and what you have and what you're driving towards and what you're capable of, it's crazy. And like, I don't even need to use that word crazy. It's just like what comes up, but it's like, it's fucking enlightening, because so many years I used excuses for why I couldn't have what I wanted, or why I couldn't do what I wanted to do. Why I couldn't have, this massively successful coaching business, why I couldn't have this why things never went my way. And I blamed a lot of other people. And it was only this year that I started to take personal fucking responsibility. And in taking personal responsibility, I was able to stand in this version of myself that I've always wanted to be. And like, you have to reconcile some really deep, hard truths about yourself to get to that place. And nobody's going to do it for you. Right? And listen, I'm a stubborn Leo. People can yip yap at me and tell me things all they want. They can tell me how great I am, how terrible I am. I often will only hear the bits and pieces that I want to. And so, that being the case, it's up to me, and it's always been up to me, to really define and repeat that story back to myself. That's why like daily rituals are such an important part of my practice. My personal practice every single day. And, I have such wonderful models in my life for how daily rituals expand and enlighten your inner being and reconnect you with your source, whatever that may be. And I'm not saying, listen, I'm a recovering Catholic. I'm not saying you have to like haul it out to church every Sunday, but there is something to be said about intention, and infusing your work with your intentions, and infusing your relationships with your intentions, and being present, and knowing that you might not always get it right, and being able to forgive yourself when you fuck up, and being able to own that all the way. And if you did shit this year you're not proud of, if you made mistakes this year, hats off to you, because it means you kept going, right? You do not have to get it fucking right all the time. You do not have to be at 100% optimal wellness all of the time. You're just not going to be. Real talk. But if you can keep going, if you can like root into that personal resilience and find that tenacity to, show up just a little bit, take a bite out of something, move something forward, then you've done a little bit more than maybe an older version of yourself might have done. My coach, Coach Jenny, author and creator of the wonderful book Hilda, will talk about disembodying your Hilda, your inner naysayer, giving it a name, putting it in the corner. And that has been such an outstanding practice for me. And I encourage you to pick up her book and, follow her work if you haven't. Also really expansive to me in the past 6 months has been disembodying what I like to call old Meg. And old Meg is this version of myself that I don't want to be anymore. It's the contrast of who I am. And it's literally information. It's nothing that I have to beat myself up about. And old Meg is kind of like a little inner child that pops out every now and then and tries to take the wheel. And she's fucking unwieldy. And she doesn't know how to drive the fucking life bus that I'm running here. And it is in my moments of greatest stress and anxiety that she gets the best of me. And listen, like 2019 doesn't have any room for old Meg. We did a lot of shedding of her this year, but she still tries to rear her ugly head. And so, I show up here with these stories and with these lessons because I want to let you know that in my coaching, in the way that I work with people, is to never perpetuate an idea that I have it all figured out, but that you and I can co-create a vision for what shining brighter, summoning that inner light, unleashing that greatness into the world really looks like, what it feels like, and how to fucking do it, right? Because if you're not going to put the walk behind your talk, then what's the point of even showing up? Honestly, right? If you want to write a book, how the fuck are you going to write it? How many pages are you going to write per day? If you want to make sales, how are you going to fucking do it? Right? Are you going to double down on a program? Are you going to invest in something that makes it happen for you? Or are you going to sit there and just keep downloading free courses? Because the reality of the situation is that, like, you get what you give, right? You become what you think of. It's all energy. And it's being given out and it's being taken. And you get to decide how you're going to show up in 2019. Right? So we have about 11 days here, or maybe even less, right? 10 days, maybe 10 days. It's winter solstice here in the States. So happy winter solstice blessings to everyone. We got a full moon on the horizon tomorrow. Lots of big astrological events happening over here. I'm no astrologer by any stretch of the imagination, but I feel that energy churning, and I love to tap into it and use it to my advantage. So, what are the lessons that you can draw from the past year? Are you ready to make a change on the things that have held you back, held you down, made you feel stuck, made you feel like shit, or just generally like pissed you off? Are you ready to rewrite your story and give something more to yourself in 2019? Because I will tell you that the more you give to yourself and the more you fill up your cup and the more joy you seek in your own personal experience, and sometimes you got to fucking chase that shit, the more you will be able to give to other people. And it's as simple as that, right? You cannot put on somebody else's oxygen mask before putting on your own. It's literally in the instructions on the plane. And so what can you do for yourself in these last few days here of 2019? I would say you can reflect, but you can also look forward. and you can be gentle with yourself in the process. And you can also call bullshit on the stories that are no longer serving you, on the relationships that are no longer serving you, on the beliefs that are no longer serving you. Because you are not a static being by any stretch of the imagination. What you have now is not what you have to have tomorrow as far as your mindset is concerned. And I believe at the very, very core of it that your mindset is the heartbeat of your success. Change your mind, you change your life, right? And by changing your mind and by honoring so deeply what it is that you feel called to do. And that doesn't just have to be in your work. It can just be in volunteering or in speaking your truth, right? Like owning your story to your family, or it can be in, I don't know, making amends with someone. It can be in quitting something, right? In deciding to put down the bottle and pick up running like I did. It can be any of those things. And they can be small or big, but what is it? What can you do for you this year? And so, no big thing here, just me and my lessons on being sick and learning to be gentle with myself. And really kind of give myself a nice swift kick in the ass while I'm at it. But listen, you don't always get what you want. Sometimes you get what you need. And that's by the lovely, always inspirational Rolling Stones. And I feel like I got what I needed this week, which was a shake up, wake up reality call, reality check perspective. And sometimes life will do that to you, right? So, with that, friends, here's the deal, right? I have a little December special that's still going on. You can absolutely take advantage of that 1 hour coaching sessions, you and me one on one. They're going to be available until December 31st. So, it's a great deal. Prices go up after that, real talk. And then January, I'm launching my 9-week program. It's called Be the Beacon. It's going to be an online interactive program. Okay. So we're going to have group calls. There's going to be online content. And really, what it's going to help you do is root into you and root for yourself, right? It's going to help you get clear on your personal branding, your mission driven marketing. And listen, this isn't just for people in business. If you are looking to do something bigger in your life, you can benefit from this as well. It's going to give you the space to show up and be accountable to your shit, both internally and externally. We're going to call bullshit on the old stories that aren't serving you, and we're going to move you into a space where you can begin to build your tower, where you can shine your fucking light so bright that the world has to see you coming. Right? And so I am so stoked to be able to be rolling this program out. And if it's something you're interested in, I'll put a link in here. You can absolutely talk to me about it. I'll also put a link in here for those December coaching specials one-on-one. You can book them with me. I will have some times available. Listen, no rest for the weary. I am still working between now and New Year's. I'll take a couple of days off here and there, but let's make shit happen. Let's put the best you out into the world in 2019. And there's only one way that can happen. And that's by you choosing, prioritizing, and honoring you. So here's to you, my beacons. May you shine bright always. And I will see you probably in here over the weekend. I'm going to be doing a few couple things. And, I missed all of you. So, if you're watching this, hit replay in the comments. Let me know. I would love, love, love to connect with you there. And as always, continue to shine your light, be the beacon, and unleash your greatness into the world. I'll talk to y'all soon. Big hugs, big love.